the time.
Technology.
As a former landlord, I always tried to buy the best / most affordable stuff for my apartments. One time I bought a fridge. I had to buy a fridge for a unit, and I was annoyed. I didn't want to, but I had to. So I bought it from Costco, and it died a year later. But you know what? Costco has a return policy that, would allow you to just go swap it out. I didn't know that at the time, so I went and bought another one. My bad. What I wonder is, what are landlords like in China? Because everything they buy is frankly garbage. I mean, it's either garbage or it's imported. And that's not to impugn the Chinese in any way. That's to impugn the some quality of Chinese goods. I had the rare opportunity to tour a what's the politically correct term for sweatshop? A clothing manufacturer, a clothier, a textile plant in China. And I walked in to this room of, let's say, 200 Chinese girls. And for a brief second, they paused and looked at me. And for that 10-second window, I was arguably the whitest man in the history of the world. I was wearing a $700 suit, and it was awkward. And then they went back to work. And I said, do you treat your employees well? Yes. No, they go home every night. They come back every morning. I go, well, yeah, they work 7 days a week, 10 hours a day. I go, great. That's fucking normal. That's totally normal. I go, these sewing machines, they look nice. Where'd you get them? He said, oh, these are Singer machines. These are made in America. I said, aren't those expensive? He said, yeah, of course, but I'm sure as fuck not going to buy a machine out of China, if you know what I mean. Yes, I do know what you mean. So let's get back to the landlord business. Do you, as a Chinese landlord, buy Japanese appliances? Do you hire foreign workers? I mean, everything must break all the time. And there's no one to bitch to. That's not how China works. If you go to China and buy a bottle of Dasani water, it might be Dasani water, but it might just as easily be a bottle of tap water that somebody 2 blocks down made and slapped a Dasani label on. Who knows? Who cares? Certainly China doesn't. They don't give a shit. It's not just that intellectual property is not considered. It's that they just don't give a shit overall. So what do? My buddy John and I went to this cool little, development, this little business plaza at the foot of the Pearl of the Orient Tower. We had tea and maybe snacks or maybe just tea, I don't remember, in this cool little strip mall at the foot of the Pearl of the Orient Tower. This is prime real estate. I went back less than 2 years later, and I tried to take Melissa and the gang to it, and I found not only was the place out of business, which happens, maybe the rent's too high, but the place looked like it had been abandoned for 15 years. No, the paint they put on it was garbage. The stucco they used was garbage. Everything was at the lowest possible standard to just get done and get signed off on, get the hell out of here. And that's really the problem with Chinese manufacturing. So my question is, Chinese landlords, What do you do? How do you deal with it when the plumbing backs up? Which, having been a Chinese tenant, I can tell you it does. What do you do when everything breaks all the time? I only lived there, the longest I lived there was a month. And, luckily, aside from the plumbing, nothing broke. But it will, and it does. So how do you deal with it? Do you spend 90% of your time dealing with 4 units? I don't know. Just seems like a lot of work.